Welcome to the Ask Me Anything event. The By Night Studios Ask Me Anything. I'm your host, Elyse Haws. Basically, how this is going to work is you can put your questions in the AMA questions. We already have a list of several questions we selected when people pre-submitted some stuff. And tonight, I'll just be going through. I'll ask everyone, these questions, and then we'll take turns answering. And this is for B2 stuff, for the new app we're developing, or if you just want to ask us what our favorite flowers are. It's all open and up in the air. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us again. And, we're going to have a great night. One more thing I'd like to remind everyone is the BNS edicts. Those are our rules for the server. Please make sure those have been read over. We've got some moderators here tonight as well who are going to try to keep things, in order as we go about here and have this event. Again, thanks everybody so much for, being here. It really does mean a lot to us. All right, so without further ado, the first question tonight is the burning question.
Elyse, we should stop and announce that we had initially advertised that Holly would be joining us this evening. Unfortunately, due to primarily COVID, once again, Holly will not be joining us this evening. Instead, we have from our writing team, Colleen, filling the third slot.
You know what? Why don't you guys go around and kind of introduce yourself and tell everybody what your position is here at By Night Studios before we get into the deep questions here. Ryan, you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Ryan Autry. I am the president of By Night Studios. My team took over about a year and a half ago now from the old team that had run By Night Studios since its inception in early 2013, late 2012. I think that LARPing is the most fun, most cool hobby in the world. It's a hobby that's had just a gigantic impact on my life. And it's a hobby that I think requires there to be a lot of new and exciting stuff coming out on a regular basis to keep folks energized and coming back to. It's a hobby that's been around nearly as long as I've been alive, and it's one that I want to see thrive.
Awesome. And Ryan, boss man, thanks again for making the time and, kind of getting this off the ground here for the event. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Sure. My name is Chris. I am a co-owner of By Night Studios with Ryan. And I am the director of content for By Night Studios, so as well as the chief editor. So my job is to review all the content, edit it. In addition to that, as the director of content, my job is to hire the writers, oversee the artists, oversee the layout designers, and pretty much make sure that our creative team has everything that they need in order to enable them to succeed in producing these products. And that's pretty much my job.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And our surprise guest, Colleen.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm Colleen Castor. I am part of the content/writing team for BNS for the new book. I worked on a few different sections there, and I'm super, super excited to talk about what we've got. Jimmy and Jason are the lead writers, and they're amazing geniuses. So we've got some cool stuff for you. So super excited.
Awesome. Thank
and
you.
I just want to add that also Nikki Daniels was another one of our writers who also contributed some great stuff, as well as April Douglas. So
you got to give a shout out to all your amazing team members. I want to give a little shout out to James as well. He's joined us today. James is my wonderful graphics guy. I go to him whenever I need just a graphic on the fly, and he's always there. So anyways, it's enough scratching our own backs here and patting ourselves on the shoulder. I want to get into these questions because I know that's what everyone came here for tonight. So without further ado, let's go for the first question. This was asked by Jamie. The burning question that's probably on everybody's mind: will there eventually be a PDF release of the book, or is the app intended to fully replace that? Ryan, you want to go ahead and answer this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had decided, after much consideration, not to include a PDF as part of the backer program. We believe in the MET app. Now, PDFs are awkward to navigate on multiple devices and expensive for us to update. Over the entire history of Mind's Eye Theater, PDF sales have never amounted to more than a pittance. It's simply easier to receive one for free than it is to buy and download one. We all know for each one sold, 10 more are given away. In fact, someone actually offered to give me a copy of V2 Issue 1 within minutes of its release on the Storyteller's Vault, while I was still in negotiations to buy By Night Studios. Now, that's not to say that we want to restrict access to content. If anything, I want it to be easier. But at the same time, we need to generate enough income to pay the talented writers, artists, and others who work so hard to bring the product to life. Our solution was the MET app. The MET app achieves everything a PDF does, but does it in a more streamlined way. We can have it ready in weeks rather than months. And once we reach a certain threshold in the backer program, we plan to make the MET app freely available to bring new people into the hobby and become as devoted fans as we all already are, while still allowing us to sell physical books and to pay our talent. Nevertheless, we are considering, after the community has reached out to us about their feelings on the matter, adding an add-on to our current program that will allow a PDF separate from our current tiers for those who absolutely need it. Now, it would likely come after the release of the MET app, significantly after. It would likely come after the release of the physical book. But it's something that's on our mind. We're thinking more about it and how we would structure something like that. So that's a very real possibility. We think the MET app is better. Make no mistake. But it can win on its own merits. It doesn't need to be at the expense of another medium.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. I know that was what everybody really wanted to hear tonight. It's been a lot of questions on Facebook. By the way, the dear turtle here has informed me that I forgot to introduce myself. I am just the host for this evening. I don't know if I'll be taking any questions myself, but I'm Elyse Haws. Not only am I the host, but I'm also the community marketing director for BNS. So whenever you guys, see any posts on Facebook or see any of the comments, it's typically me behind the keyboard. So it's really nice to finally get to meet everybody who's been so supportive on our social medias. Anyways, on to the next question. Another one by Jamie. Is the web app going to scale to work on mobile devices as well as desktop, laptops, and computers?
Yeah, I'll take this one as well. It's viewable on all devices.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I remember us talking about that. That was one of the big issues we wanted to make sure we covered. Another one from Jamie. Since you are going to the SaaS route,
software as a service,
right? What's your strategy to maintain app availability? If I'm using the app to get rules clarification in the middle of mass combat and the website goes down, it's now less valuable than a PDF. How are you going to prevent that situation? Do you have a dynamic scaling capabilities for times of high load, cloud hosting, and multiple regions?
Yes, so there's kind of two elements to this question. The first is kind of arises from a mistaken assumption about what this is. The ultimate tool that is the MET app is a third-party software that has our content loaded into it. It's no more likely to go down than the Pathfinder SRD is likely to go down. Now, it's not a wiki, but it's in that vein. Even multiple thousands and thousands of concurrent users are not even going to strain it even a little bit. So ultimately, that question isn't too much of a concern to us. But I think what is essentially being asked, the second part of this question is, can we trust you to support the app? And the only answer I have for that is definitely. And we're going to account for any concerns. And even if there were some kind of unforeseen technical hurdle that got in the way, we would do whatever we could to resolve that hurdle because it's something that we've promised the community. Even promises that were made prior to By Night Studios' current team taking over, made by the old team on our behalf, we've kept. And so we would keep this one too. It's just how we would want to do business, and it's the upright and just way to do it.
Alrighty, thank you, Ryan. I know a lot of people are curious about the app, and we've got the video on our YouTube so far that briefly explains it, but this is really nice to finally hear it from the boss's mouth, so it were. Alright, this next one's from Dove. Given that access to an integrated system by way of the app opens an entire digital avenue to play with ease, will you be collaborating with or preparing in-house an engine plugin to contain character sheets that can tap into individual statistics per person to be used in a medium such as Discord or Roll20 or some other areas where virtual LARP is possible.
So it's a great question, and one of the advantages of the app is that it allows us to consider adding more features over time like these. Some of these that I think would be incredibly essential. We've had some conversations with gentleman that by the name of Rob Eisenberg, who's a very talented programmer. We look at Tallahassee. He's the developer of the Durandal framework for one thing, as well as the Aurelia framework. And he has kind of a program that could do this for us. And we've started to have conversations with him about that. It's not a feature at the moment, but it's a feature we would very much like to add. The ultimate question will be, how much usage does the app have? How much usage would that feature get? And is it really giving to our community what they need to play the game more easily and do it in a way that's affordable to us while also being a value to everyone? So.
Thank you, Ryan. I have one for Chris, actually. I apologize if I pronounced this username wrong, but this is someone who's been on the server quite a lot, and I think they deserve to get their question answered, and just a shout out for being constantly active here. It is a Guinevere, I believe, and the question is, what plans does BNS have after releasing both V2 and Changeling Errata?
So this is a great question also, and I can tell you that we have plans. Rest assured, we have plans, we have products in the works. But unfortunately, I can't talk about them right now. We're coordinating with World of Darkness and with Paradox on when those new products and what our future plans are as to when they can be announced. But we hope to make announcements in the near future. But what I will like to add is, while we talk about future products, please know that a lot of love and a lot of effort went into the current product that we have up, V2. Our writers worked very hard to fill the commitments or obligations, I should say, that were made by the prior release. So we really hope that you enjoy the new product, and we're confident that you will. And we will definitely have announcements very soon on new plans and new products.
Thank you, Chris. I have another question here by It is a Risikio, I think. Risikio. This question is, the Master Methuselah tier specifies that we will receive a Tim Bradstreet edition of the book, with the Kickstarter is making obsolete. Will the backers have to wait 2 additional years for their obsolete Bradstreet edition? Colleen, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So the awesome news is that deluxe Bradstreet book is not actually being made obsolete by this book. Volume 2 is an expansion of what's already there, not a brand new edition itself. Also, that Bradstreet book, for those people who back at Master Methuselah tier, it's going to be shipping at the same time as the new V2 book, so you're going to be getting everything at the same time.
Oh, thank you, Colleen. Another one for you, though. Are the Bali going to get some love?
Absolutely. So one of the developers, Jason Herman, if you know him, you've probably seen him play a Bali. He is a notorious infernalist. So he has been basically constantly making sure they are very well taken care of. They've got some amazingly, just kind of disgustingly naughty elder powers. They've got some great new clan merits since they were missing some choices in the previous book, so we've filled those in. And then some other cool stuff that we're going to keep a little bit of a secret because we don't want to spoil all the surprises right away.
Thanks, Colleen. All right, so I have another one here. Another anon question, probably off of our socials and Facebook. We did gather a few from there. This one says, are the thumb rituals and paths in the book all recreations of things from the TT book laws, or are there some brand new powers?
So I'll take this one.
Sure.
So the large majority of the rituals are brand new, but there are some legacy recreations of familiar old favorites. Typically, when our team is looking to add an effect into the system in V2, if there was already a power which does something similar, they use a legacy name. So for example, you'll see, when you get the book, you'll see this in 2 or 3 of the thaumaturgical paths. Like, for example, Neptune's Might, We all know Neptune's Might is a legacy name, right? But we're reintroducing Neptune's Might in V2. If you had a chance to watch the Southampton by Night video, that's linked on our vampirelarp.com website, you'll see that while the path has the legacy name, it also has some new effects. So we strongly recommend that you watch and connect to the Southampton by Night channel as we plan to debut some additional stuff on their site to give you more insight into what's actually going to be in V2. And some of that will include not only just the thaumaturgical path I spoke about, but also some new necromancy stuff as well.
Yeah, I also agree. The Southampton by Night people, I'm not gonna spoil any of their episodes coming up, but they are a lot of fun and just really great team to work with. I love the videos that they put out. They're definitely on our subscribe list. Another question we have coming in from another Anon source. The Bruja are my favorite clan, but I don't like how many players focus on the thug and combat side. Any powers for a scholarly Bruja? Colleen, you want to take this?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I want to say I love scholarly Bruja. I think they're absolutely amazing, and it's sadly underused in the past. So we definitely did keep this in mind. The team made sure that both sides were very well taken care of. So because they're a really dynamic clan. They've got so many different interesting options. So one of the big things, we've got some new clan flaws that provide even more individuality to your character. And there's also a new presence elder power, which works great for a leader style build, fits that scholar Bruja really, really nicely. And you'll be able to hear a little bit more about those in some preview stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited about the different options that we've got.
Thanks, Colleen. I've tangled with some Bruja before, both scholarly and combat wise, and all of which could probably put me through a wall. All right. Here we go. Is there anything for the Independent Alliance? This was asked by Elyse.
So, yes and no. There's nothing specific to the IA because the IA was always meant to be fluid and a changing network of allies that could succeed or fail based on player action in individual troop games or network club games. So I know that some clubs created sort of a hierarchy for the Independent Alliance because that material didn't exist. They gave status traits, they gave merits, they gave other things, and that fit those clubs. But the way that the Independent Alliance was written, it was written to be so much more fluid. So one set of merits, status effects, they wouldn't really fit the design goal. So while the Camarilla, the Sabbat, and the Anarch movement are century-old constructs that largely remain unchanged, the IA was intended to be something that the players of the game could sculpt and mold themselves. So that's why we decided not to flesh it out further and instead leave it as an alliance of independent clans, and the players can decide where they want to bring that to during the course of their games.
All right, so that one was from Glacialis. All right, next question. This is from Jace. The question is, how many luminary powers are there? Would the luminary powers be the same cost as elder powers or higher XP? Colleen?
So common and uncommon disciplines will have two choices for their luminary powers. Rare disciplines are going to just have the one choice. And luminary powers are going to cost 24 XP. The one thing with the whole two choices and the thing that elder players are going to want to keep in mind is, obviously luminary players are going to want to keep in mind, a luminary elder can only have one luminary power and it must be chosen from their in-clan disciplines. So there's a little bit of a restriction to that amazing choice, and it becomes the beautiful problem. I have too many awesome clothes to wear.
All right.
Well, so much for getting a Luminary Temporis in my 6th gen Samache. Oh well.
You're gonna have some problems there.
Dang, Ryan. All right. Okay. Back to the questions. We have another one. I noticed your backer tier mentions Camarilla honorific pins. What about the Sabbat? Will there be Sabbat pins, Sabbat material, powers in the book? Ryan, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. So first on the pins themselves. So the sect pins are at this time the title pins that are part of the tier program are Camarilla only. We're not currently producing Sabbat pins as part of the backer program. With regard to book content, we are for the most part agnostic to sect with specific powers because we wanted to give more flexibility to the players while making their characters. And we didn't want someone to choose a sect for their character based specifically upon the kind of extra benefits that they could get for being just part of that sect. And we thought that was an overall better thing to kind of phase out over time by not including more of it, if that makes sense.
All right, that makes sense to me. We have another one. This one I think I'll throw over to Colleen. This one is Anon as well. Is the inclusion of more clan-specific rituals and merits, flaws, a conscious decision to make clans more unique and move away from the mix and match of V1?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
You're cutting out a little there, Colleen.
Sorry about that. That was some tech issue there, right? For a second.
It's a live event. These things
the team
happen.
Right? So we had a ton of fun developing the different clan flaws, and we wanted to give a lot of new flavor and stuff that can really help make those clan themes unique. So they've got those iconic drawbacks. We've got inclusion of clan-specific rituals that lets us dive into really specific clan themes to create effects that would be perfect for one clan, but really inappropriate to get another. So like, we won't have followers of Set engaging in Sertamin, and Tremere aren't going to be walking around making milk of Set. So we want to make sure that everybody is fitting very nicely and give people those things that'll let them stand out. Also, sorry, Tremere, I know you really want to do that, but...
Yep, but everybody stay in their lane.
All right.
Your lane has so many options.
Okay, so I have one for Chris. Does anything change for ghouls, settings, or mechanics-wise?
The answer is an enthusiastic yes. In fact, thanks to the creativity of our writers, one of our Revenant families got promoted to a full bloodline in V2.
All right, a follow-up question here. I heard a rumor that there will be new clan flaws. If that's true, will they replace the current flaws? And does everyone now have like 2, or can you choose which one you take? Roughly, how many clan-specific flaws would each clan be getting?
So we have 3 new clan flaws for each base clan. These are optional, just like general flaws. These new flaws do not replace the current flaws. Instead, you now have additional choices to make your character unique and fun to play. The writing team, they had a lot of fun in writing these, and despite flaws being, flaws, we think that players will be excited to add these to their sheet.
All right, thank you, Chris. I got one for Ryan here. Actually, I got 2. This one is I miss Nectar of Bitter Rose the most. Is that coming back?
Yes, though perhaps in a way you may not expect. And I won't say any more about that at this time.
All right, he has spoken. The next question. This is from Brian Pika. I want to hear about your abyssal mysticism with an exclamation point. We got to hear about it.
We are super excited to finally debut the long-awaited abyssal mysticism mechanics. Now, we've collaborated with Southampton by Night, and these are going to be focused on in an upcoming preview video, similar to the Thaumaturgy one that you've already seen, that will eventually be up on our vampirelarp.com site, as well as on the Southampton YouTube, and we'll promote it as well. So, make sure to subscribe to the Southampton YouTube channel, and you'll see that soon enough.
Yeah, and I promise I'll be posting every time they drop a video. It'll be over on our socials as well, so I guarantee you will not be able to miss it. I have one for Colleen. This one's anonymous as well. I watched Thom video preview. Are you trying to make combat Tremere viable again?
So the goal is to provide players with unique, fun, exciting powers to shape their stories and interact with their game environment. So that does mean that some thaumaturgy effects are absolutely going to be useful in combat, but not all of them are going to be damaging effects. So yes, viable, but we also have something for everything, and we're really looking forward to seeing how players are developing different and new builds with all of the various options that they've got now, or will have very soon.
I know Ryan is over there just like at chomping at the bit for this new Tremere stuff. All right.
What?
You and your Tremere and your mages, they're all the same. For those of you who don't know, Ryan really loves mage. All right. The next one actually is for Ryan. How will the soft and hardback books differ? I.e., the hardback, will it be a deluxe edition with more art?
So I know that this one is assigned to me, but I'm going to throw it over to Chris.
All right.
As the director of content, it's really more his place to answer on this one. Sorry to put you on the spot, Chris.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like talking and no one can hear me. So
Trying to figure out the mute button. Go ahead,
yeah.
Chris.
So the answer is that the how the soft and hardback book will differ. The soft cover and the hardback book are generally going to be the same as far as the content is concerned. It's just the quality of the paper and the quality of the shell of the book. But when it comes to the deluxe version, we're still currently working out what other additional things, be it art or well, I'll just say, be it art or something more that we can add to the deluxe version. The bottom line is we haven't finalized it yet, but we are working on it.
All right, thank you, Chris. I have another one for you. Is this mostly a book of mechanics, or will there be some cool stories and perhaps setting pieces bringing the LARP story more within line of V5?
Okay, so let me start by saying that this book is not V5. And nothing that is contained in this book affects V5 continuity. Now, if you as a storyteller if you're running a troop game and you're running V5 and you're reading this book and you see some material that you want to incorporate into your game, you as a storyteller, of course, have that decision to make, and that's wholly in your wheelhouse. But this book is not a V5 book. And again, nothing in this book affects V5 continuity. So going back to the earlier parts of the question, this book is predominantly mechanics, but there are some cool stories we've incorporated, and there's other featured material that we think that the players will, or the customers will enjoy, that go beyond simple mechanics.
Yeah, not to mention those beautiful, beautiful Methuselah quotes that we've been seeing pop up here on the Discord. If you're ever curious about some of the quotes we're putting in, we have a channel, Methuselah tier and quotes and all that. You can go ahead and read some of the stuff that's been approved and maybe get your own in there. I have one from Jace here, another one from Jace. Thank you, Jace. Will there be any crossover info detailing how these new powers interact with and affect the other supernatural creatures, such as luminary animalism against a werewolf or mythicaria against changelings, etc.?
So I got this one. If a new power can affect another creature type or their innate abilities, fuel, etc., the book does spell out how that works for the individual powers. For broader situations, the book will clarify how group of power works. So for instance, there's an entire section in the Changeling book on how certain powers written prior to that book affect changelings. So it's basically in a very, in a nutshell, yes, absolutely. And we will tell you how that works.
Thank you. All right, I have another one from Glacialis. I think I'm saying it right. Thanks for joining us, by the way, Glacialis. This one says, honest thoughts on whether Elder and Luminary powers can compete with utterly awesome techniques you created.
Well, let me say that we're very excited about the new Elder and Luminary powers. I haven't seen all of them. I have snuck a few peeks at the ones that were directly relevant to high characters, simply because I'm president and I get to have that prerogative. But other than that, we think of the techniques as having access to a big box of tools. You can look and easily find one that's useful for your situation. Luminary and Elder Powers are like big construction equipment. For the things that they do them exceptionally well. But they lack the versatility of the techniques. So I guess the supposed answer is, do we think they can compete? Yes, but they're not competing so much as they're both cool in their own right.
I hear you on that one. All right, we got another question here. Another one about the Thom hype. We've heard about the new Thom hype. What about necromancy hype? Any plans for new paths or just new rituals? Chris, you want to take this one?
Sure. The answer is absolutely yes, and they are in V2. We have dozens of new necromantic rituals. We have 3 all new paths, and these things have been designed, specifically for LARP. In addition, some of our necromancy will be previewed in an upcoming Southampton by Night video, as I mentioned earlier. And again, you can link to their current video, which is a thaumaturgy video on vampirelarp.com. If you go there, you'll see the video. You can click on it, and then you can sign up to get more updates from Southampton. So when the necromantic stuff gets released, you can follow along. In addition to rituals, in addition to paths, we also have a new bloodline that we're releasing in V2 that just simply loves necromancy. So we think
a newly playable bloodline.
Yeah, sorry, newly playable bloodline. Correct, a newly playable bloodline that simply loves necromancy, and we think that you all are really going to enjoy it.
Thank you, Chris. I have another question here, another anonymous one. We've gotten some previews of Luminary Powers. Were any of those previews majorly overhauled, or can we expect to see them roughly as presented?
So the previews of the Elder Powers available on the By Night Studios blog are beta drafts. So you're going to see some changes in them, but overall those themes of those powers are definitely, they're going to remain intact.
You're doing great, Colleen.
Words and stuff.
Yeah, those are hard. Good thing I'm not a writer.
They're right? Look, I can write them. It's saying them out loud. But yeah, you're going to be able to expect overall very similar themes in those powers that you've seen. Tiny details, you may see some differences, but overall, you can expect those.
Awesome. Thank you, Colleen. We have another question here. This is from Dove. Will there be an additional werewolf supplement, i.e. W2? Ryan, you want to get this one?
Forgive the pause, because I'm going to have to hold my tongue here and say we're not at liberty to discuss werewolf at this time. We would like there to be an additional werewolf supplement, but obviously we just can't talk about it right now.
All right, I hear you on that one, Ryan. Don't worry, we've got plenty more questions from Dove tonight. So the next question from Dove is, will there be mention of various status effects like chilled/frozen introduced in the Changeling BNS book in V2 and further expansions?
First of all, thank you, Dove, for all the questions. We appreciate it, and your excitement, echoes our excitement. So we greatly appreciate all the questions that you've asked us this evening, and I know that there's more to come, I believe. In response to this specific question, so we try to use keywords such as chilled and frozen sparingly. What we don't want to do is we don't want to have too large of a lexicon that everybody needs to be aware of every single splat. It's often much easier for a reader to grasp or a player to grasp an effect if we give it its own key term. So 2 cases come to mind in V2. I will tell you that we have some previews coming up. We have some previews coming up that are set for release in the next couple weeks. That'll probably better explain that. So I don't want to ruin it now, but keep your eyes and ears peeled. There's more to come.
Thank you. Another one from Dove. Oh, by the way, real quick to pause. If anyone's having trouble hearing Colleen, all you have to simply do is right-click on Colleen's beautiful face, and there's a slider bar. You should be able to pull the user volume up, so perhaps you can hear Colleen just a little bit better. We do have another question, though, from Dove. This one is, after having watched the video displaying some of the new Thom powers, I would love to know if a similar treatment will be given to future powers, gifts, rights for other Splat releases.
The short answer there is we do hope to. We're really proud of the growing community of content creators in the world of darkness. And 2 years ago, there were very few that we could think of off the top of my head. But we're starting to see more and more creators sharing their passion for this world through cosplay, through videos, all sorts of amazing creative endeavors. So we'd really like to do more preview videos, and the best way to help us do that is to share along the videos that we do have, support the other creators, help them grow. Yeah, basically.
I just want to add to that we have really reached out to all sorts of different games and groups, and we're happy to say that we at Binance Studios have been connecting, with many different games in Europe and many different producers in Europe, and we are trying very hard to build a better community for you, the player, as well as was for us, because we love to play too. So we're trying to bring all those groups together. So I echo everything that Colleen said, and know that we're working on not just building videos and things like that for the other games, but drawing in those other sections of the world of darkness groups that love what we love, so we can make it easy for you all to find.
I agree. We gotta support the family. We're all big one family. What is that you say, Ryan? Rising tide raises all ships?
Lifts all boats.
Yes, that one. Trust me, guys, he says it all the time during meetings. It's always there. We have one last question from Dove. This may be a bit too inside ball. Forgive me if this overreaches. But is the current relationship with Paradox shaped like parallel lines or a wishbone spreading out in different directions? This is from Dove.
So, Dove, we feel we're in harmony with Paradox. We've had good meetings with Jason Carl, Justin Achille, other Paradox representatives. Obviously, they're allowing us to release this book, for which we are very, very grateful. We produce if you go to the World of Darkness right now, worldofdarkness.com, and you look at their store, that's a store that's been created for them by Night Studios. So if there's any more telling kind of example of our relationship with them, it's very strong. Very strong.
They are some great people. I love Outstar as well, constantly on the ball with the World of Darkness news. We have one from Guinevere. This one is
Guinevere?
Guinevere. Yes, it's spelled very strangely, and I can't read apparently. Guinevere, have you played the Princes of Darkness mod for Crusaders Kings 3? If so, what are your thoughts?
So we saw this question come in and we all talked about it. We were all like, have any of us played it yet? Because it sounds like it's probably great. And we've heard that it was great, but sadly the answer is that none of the three of us have actually played it. We've all or have been able to engage with it. We've been very busy preparing for this release, but we've heard good things about it, and we hope to check it out soon.
All right, now for a fun question. This is from Lex. What is your favorite flower, everyone? Ryan, you want to go first?
Yes, I am an economist at heart, and so my favorite flower is the tulip, for the huge impact it had on the finance trade, and it being kind of like the first example of futures contracts, and also the first example of a financial bubble that later popped. I love the tulip. Not to mention, they have some of the very best names for tulips. The General of General Tulip. You gotta love that.
Yeah.
What an efficient flower you picked. It's so you. Colleen, what's your favorite flower?
So honestly, I love all the different options, and the meanings behind flowers. I've actually done a bunch of research into that. But I'm actually going to be horrible and pick something that's not actually a flower. But the grow places, cattails. That's actually just.
Colleen, you're fading out a little bit. I can't quite hear you.
How's that? Any better?
Oh, much better. Goodness.
Okay. So backing up to where it probably started fading.
I heard cattails.
I know this isn't. Yes, it's not a flower, but they are my favorite things in the world. When I find them, they have such a wonderful feeling. I absolutely love them.
Have you seen those videos of people biting into them like corn dogs?
Oh gosh.
It's atrocious.
I have. It's horrifying.
For those of you who don't know, briefly, the cattail is like a reed in a swamp, and it's full of like super compact, fluffy seeds. So if you see a hot dog in the middle of a swamp, don't bite it. Your mouth fills with fluff, and it's disgusting. Chris, what's your favorite flower?
I used to do a lot of death investigation, which I know sounds strange to say, but in my real life, I used to do a lot of death investigation. I had a case that involved the water hemlock, so I will have to say I learned a lot about it, and look that thing up. The water hemlock is my favorite flower.
I'm gonna jump in and answer the question, even though I'm just the host tonight. I'm a classic. Give me a red rose. I'm always down for a red rose. You cannot go wrong. All right, so the next question, this is from Doug. This is saying, as this is not a V5 book, will there be any nods to that continuity? And if not, will any of the new necromancy rituals, paths, etc. be clan bloodline specific?
So while this book does not impact the V5 community, there are a lot of similarities between V5 and this system. So there are things that overlap that could be considered nods. I think I would put it that way. Nonetheless, there's definitely new necromancy paths and new rituals. We have a lot of thaumaturgical stuff that's more specific to clan and bloodline. The necro stuff is not as narrowed as thaumaturgical stuff. If that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Here's another one. This one is from Dove again. Thank you, Dove. Has there been any consideration on the possibility for BNS to produce a virtual LARP show production similar to LA by Night using BNS rules? By that, I mean polished, edited production that would be broadcast on a platform like YouTube, Twitch, MET app, etc.
In short, there's been some consideration, yes. And we're still thinking about how we would do something like that. I do think it would be great to do it. We're definitely not there yet.
I agree. I remember us briefly bringing it up when we first tossed the idea around, and it was like, yeah, we want to do this. And then everyone was like, great. Let's do this other stuff we got to do first.
Yeah. One step at a time.
Lots on the plate. Another one, this one's from Blanket. Blanket asks, are there any plans for some kind of diversity oversight or consultation by consultation, excuse me, by actual people of color or people with resume of successfully navigating concerns about the perceived sexism and racism?
So the answer to that is yes. We as a company have engaged consultants to look at various issues, and we're going to continue to do so. Bonnet Studios is proud of the diversity of our team and of our customers. We believe that an ideal world is one where individuals with different backgrounds and belief systems can come together with a unified purpose and with respect for one another, all the while acknowledging that our differences should be respected and celebrated. Bonnet Studios is dedicated to providing a harassment-free and welcoming experience for everyone, regardless of gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, age, or religion. And engaging qualified consultants helps us build that world.
Thank you, Ryan. I know that's not quite the most fun question we've had tonight, but it is an important one. This one is from Charlie. I see Charlie there in the chat. Thank you for joining us, Charlie. This one is regarding the planned app. Will it become free in
perpetuity?
Thank you, Ryan. To those backing V2 right now, will it be updated to include future product releases?
So right now we guarantee that it'll be free for at least a year for those who back V2. Our hope is over the next year we find a way that we're able to make it free in perpetuity so that it's supporting itself through perhaps additional merchandise sales, advertisements, that sort of thing. Just like for example, the Pathfinder SRD does.
Mm-hmm. I see ya. All right. Very, very cool. Charlie, I'll never forgive you for using a vocabulary outside of mine. All right. The next...
Elyse, if you ever go to law school, I'll just tell you, you have to learn about the rule against perpetuities. So you come to
If I
know
ever go
that
to law school, something's
very
going
well.
wrong. If I go to law school, please check me into a hospital because something's not correct.
Fair.
Oh,
So that's the one where you can't have a contract that lasts forever.
Yes, absolutely correct. It means that you can't have something that lasts forever. Perpetuity means to go on and on and on and on and on forever. So the rule against perpetuities is one in which you cannot have something that lasts forever, usually in the context of a contract.
all right.
But in this case, we definitely want to change that.
This also definitely makes me want to never go to law school. All right, so the next question. I won't bog us down with legality here tonight. This is from Monders. This one is, as a Troop ST, will the planned app have an ability for me to host my game information, such as location, time, and contact information?
Well, I didn't think about that before, but I actually think we really should incorporate that ability into the app for sure. Just being honest. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's a fantastic idea. We have another one, a few more actually from Monders. This one is, can I get confirmation that kineticism is in V2?
Yes, you can, and the answer is it's in there. However, it may not be the same kineticism that you recall, and in fact, it's not. I mean, I'll just be honest, it's not the same kineticism you recall from looking at the old books. It's all new, but thematically similar. So all I can say to you is get ready to charge up.
All right, thank you. Okay. Got another one. Last one from Monders for right now. Story is great, but I'm a mechanics guy. What was the most enjoyable power, merit, flaw, or mechanic to work on in V2?
So I think overall the answer to that would probably be rituals. We have so many rituals. We had so much fun making these up, and just the various like thematic elements that you have to go invoke new rituals, stuff like that. We had a great time brainstorming all of those. I personally am super excited for business system, which we already mentioned. So definitely, definitely check out those videos with Southampton, and yeah, all of it was great, but definitely rituals.
I hear you on that one. All right, now we have a question from Dove. Dove asks, has there been any consideration for how BNS would tackle the mechanics of a mage supplement?
Oh man, this is going to sound really redundant. Okay, so we're not at liberty to discuss anything about a mage book at this time. And all we can say, and I'm going to say this even though it's going to sound super corny from earlier, a rising tide does lift all boats though. So, the greatest thing that we can do to see future releases like a mage book is see Vampire do very well. And it will rise, with its success, other products become possible.
Mm-hmm. I know, and to much as Ryan's dismay, he loves mage so much. Again, yeah, like he says, rising tide lifts all boats. We got another one.
I mean, it's just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I know, Ryan. You guys
it's self-actualization. The game.
When we drove up for SERE, I looked at Ryan and I said, "We got 7 hours to kill. Try to explain mage to me." Anyways,
that was a mistake.
Oh, gotta give me more credit. All right. Come on, back to the questions. Here we go. This one is from Black Ronin 47. This one says, will the Osiris League get a reference?
Not this time around. However, we have not ruled out exploring that group in any future releases.
All right, thank you. We got one from Soul Gambit tonight. Is the character on the cover of the V2 book a member of the Anarchs, the Camarilla, or the Sabbat? On that note, what clan are they?
Okay, so first I have to give a shout out to Cami, whose artwork can be seen at Sewing Sadal on Insta. She took that photo. Her work is going to be featured throughout this product. Her work was featured throughout our Changeling product. She's just an incredibly talented artist, and her work is really tries to capture the essence of the world of darkness. In addition, I got to give a shout out to James Johnson, who's a new dad, for those of you who do not know. So
yeah, that's right. Congrats, James. I see you in the chat.
Yeah, so James, who despite being a new dad has been working so hard and so diligently for us, and we're greatly appreciative of everything that he's done, especially taking Cammie's art and turning it into the cover of our book. Like all those changes to her work, the adding of the logos, that's all James, and we're greatly appreciative, and we're very happy to have him on our team. So to answer the question as to what characters on the cover of the book. The answer is, of course, the Red Lister commentary. I know. Yeah, I know that those of you who know me from before used to invoke that character back in my MES days as a storyteller. She was the main villain I used, and in fact, all of our models are the same character. But in all seriousness, though. We chose that image because we felt that cover image could fit really any sect or any clan. And we honestly didn't have a specific sect or clan in mind when we selected the image. So to answer the actual question asked, it can be whatever you want it to be.
We have no favorites here. Dad loves everyone equally.
As everyone listening to us from just before this call, the idea to make a community tree was me. Thank you.
Oh, yes, Ryan. Make sure we give Ryan his trophy. All right. This one is Christian Major. Christian Major asks, will V2 include more precise ST essays on how to handle ST workload, like tracking all the influence, usage, contacts, downtimes, etc.?
So the answer to that question is we have some storyteller essays written that we're considering including in V2 for this release. We haven't finalized that decision yet. However, they actually don't deal with the specific topics that were raised in this question. With that said, we are happy to consider incorporating essays in future releases that deal with these topics. So if there's a storyteller out there that thinks they have an interesting ST essay topic that they want to write on, and they think it would be good for inclusion, in a publication that we do that other storytellers can learn from and take from, we would love to hear from you and to hear your pitch. So please, reach out to us, go to our website, find our email address and send us those pitches, because we're always looking for good storyteller essays for inclusions on topics that matter to storytellers.
Thank you, Chris. I know that it's always quite the struggle when you're sitting there going, great, I have this thing. How do I run it? That was me when I touched V20 for the first time back in freshman year. I was like, okay, vampire. Yeah. Way before all this. We have another question from Blanket. This one is probably for Ryan. It's again on that more serious note. Are there any plans to address any of the innately problematic aspects of various games that have already made it into publication, like the use of slurs and stereotypes for the Ravnos, the skin darkening issues with Yasamites, and the cultural appropriation inherent in a lot of the Apocalypse tribes, especially those ostensibly, seen poorly, modeled after Native American tribes?
So let me start by saying that we enthusiastically believe in the importance of diversity, inclusion, and representation. And my answer to this is that I'm going to highlight some of the good work that's being done by Paradox and the World of Darkness in addressing some of these concerns in their new materials. The Ravnos, for example, are given an all-new treatment in the V5 Companion, which moves them in the direction that they needed to go. I expect that they will continue to attempt to address areas of similar concern as more materials become available. And as a licensor of the WAD IP, BNS will be following suit. We strive to incorporate diversity, inclusion in all of our works and within the works, at our events, and for every other part of the community that we work with.
All right, thank you, Ryan. All right, this one is from Brian Pika. With the application released next month, will it have full availability of the mechanics of the game, and will you use that to test, flush out issues before the actual release of the book?
Thank you, Brian, for this question. It's a good one. So we had a much more robust playtesting than some of the previous releases that had been out of Binance Studios from, kind of things that had been released just immediately before we took over, or were primarily composed of things that, were done by writers other than our own for this product. We had the time and the ability to do that, and so we've had a much closer review of all the work, of all the stuff in it. So it's not as likely that there are going to be issues to flush out. And the intention is that the app will contain all the material from the VTM core book, from VTM Volume 2, Issue 1, and over the month of February, as material is finalized, that material will be entered into the app for Volume 2.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Brian, for submitting that question as well. The next one is from James Johnson. Congrats to the new father. He asked, will the app be updated in real time with errata? In the same vein, will it have a changed log and the entry updated, as well as notifications of any update?
James, to answer that, real time is a little bit ambitious. More likely there would be a cycle. But yes to everything else.
All right. This one is from Jace again. Thank you, Jace. Will there be any new update to errata for older material included with this?
So we've considered some errata, but we decided not to include it in V2. And we're still in the process of determining if it'd be better to include the errata in the next book, or just make it available on our website or through the Met app. But we know that some things need to be errataed, and we have looked at them. The only question right now is where and when we're going to release it, but it will not be released in the V2 book.
Okay. All right. And let's see here. This one is from Jamie. What accessibility features are you including in the app? E.g., screen reader compatibility. Is it going to be comparable to what you'd get in a PDF release?
I expect it to be comparable, yes.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, this one's from me. I'm sorry. I need to know, and it burns in my brain, Chris, what is your favorite cocktail drink?
So in the current nights, my go-to is a vodka tonic, but there was this vodka called Super Cola that was made by Three Olives that would drink on the rocks. Three Olives no longer makes it, but it was my all-time favorite. Now it's Coke flavored vodka, which I know sounds really gross, but trust me, it was great. I still hunt every city I go to. I look at the discount bottom shelf of the liquor store, if I'm in a liquor store, and I try to find the dusty bottles of Super Cola. You should give it a try.
I will put that on my list. For those of you who do not know, I turned 21 last February, and so I'm just kind of asking everybody this, who I think has good taste, to build up my repertoire. So if you guys have a drink that you really like and you want to send it to me, feel free to. I'm looking for new stuff to try. All right. This one is from James again, James Johnson. Will Changeling and Werewolf be added to the app?
Oh man, a lot of people have been asking me this. So we're starting with Vampire, and eventually the plan is to someday add all of the various splat types material.
Mm-hmm. All right, this one is from Sifor. Will non-backers be able to purchase access to the web app after the end of the campaign? I saw that it will be released for free if there's enough support, but in the event that it isn't, I'm interested in buying it a la carte.
Yeah, so Cypher, I'd like to first clear up a misconception that I think has been out there, and say that from the beginning, the V2 core book and V2 issue 1 are intended to be free on the app. The only section that's intended to be, or possibly will be, gated off for subscribers, in subscribing meaning that you are a signed in user that has a pass from either backing this program or perhaps buying it a la carte.
I have a question. When you say subscribe, do you mean continuous payments throughout the year or a one-time purchase?
I mean, a one-time purchase because it's locked to the specifically new content that is coming out with this new book. We would make everything freely available if we didn't think that it would devalue the hard work that the writing team put together on this product to begin with. Again, the intention with the app is not to restrict access to the content. If anything, it's intended to make it much easier, because instead of a PDF that you have to, kind of go through one page at a time, and if you're on mobile, it's just a nightmare to load. It's something flexible. It's quick. It's easy. It's like trying to make a Pathfinder character without the SRD. It's very difficult. Once you have the SRD or once you have the MET app, we hope that it's going to change the game for folks trying to access the materials. And the idea is that eventually this be accessible for everyone. So, at the moment, I'd like to say I hope that we're going to meet kind of our needs for releasing the book through the backer program. We're on a very good path to it so far. But just stay tuned for more information on that, if you would.
Thank you, Ryan. This one is from Glacialis again. It says, Paths of Enlightenment. Will there be additional ones in Volume 2? And regardless of that answer, is there more material dealing with the paths in general?
So I love paths. I want to talk about these ones. So we are going to have 3 new paths, including one mentioned in the base book that was never fully realized. We also, on top of that, do have some additional material that involves basically Path of Enlightenment merits and how you can utilize those in your games, including a new status trait specific to paths. So it is really super exciting. And yeah, I hear you. I love paths. They're so much fun to explore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely pulled up several paths when I was playing my Sabbat Archbishop. I have one from one of our top fans on Facebook, Ken Adurgwe. I hope I am pronouncing that right. Do you think it would be possible to have a preview of the cover of the deluxe edition?
Yeah, we should definitely work on that and get one out there for you. So yes, but not yet.
Yes.
Give a throughout the backer program.
Soon. Oh, goodness. All right, Chris, I have one for you. This is from Doug. Will there be additions to the equipment rules? Specifically, that there is no equipment that will help with necromancy, even with a merit. Even thaumaturgy has enchanted talismans, but necro gets no equipment love. Where's the equipment love, Chris?
Well, there's some equipment love in the book, but there are no new equipment traits. There are, however, a number of items that can actually be created through necromancy rituals. That will be just honestly super fun to utilize if you're a necromancer. We preview one of those items in an upcoming video by Southampton by Night. And again, I encourage you to go to vampirelarp.com, click on their video for thaumaturgy, and from there you can sign up to get notifications of their upcoming videos, and you'll be able to see it in the necromantic video that they're going to be releasing in the near future.
Thanks, Chris. We have one too, actually, from Risikayo, I believe. Risikayo? Yes, Risikayo. I'm going to stick with that, and I apologize. You can correct me later after the call. With the new heavy emphasis on pins, cufflinks, and anything you want to slap a White Wolf logo on, or symbol on, why have you not finished a pin set for Werewolf?
So myself and Risikayo did talk kind of a sidebar on this. And, through it, I discovered something that I did not know, which was that there were quite a few werewolf pins that were a unlockable backer tier from the Apocalypse Kickstarter that were never reached because the Kickstarter didn't reach that amount. The community is still waiting on those. That's something that I'd like to get out there in the future at some point. But the main reason is that because merchandise goes through an approval process with Paradox, and we can only move so quickly in so many areas, we focused, primarily on those things that we needed to get approved for both Paradox's store and for our own Christmas sales. And now kind of the sky's the limit for things that we can ask. And so long as they're within the brand guidelines and Paradox approves them, they can come out in the future. Yeah.
All right, we got another one, also involving a werewolf. It appears that all mention of your werewolf LARP book has been completely scrubbed from your site. Were the rights to the werewolf part of the purchase of By Night Studios? Are there any plans for a hardcover edition?
Okay, so to answer this in kind of three parts. So they were not scrubbed. We simply transitioned to a different technology platform for the store itself. One that's much better suited for e-commerce than the old one was, and allows us to handle a larger inventory and a larger selection of items than our previous store did. The old information that is on the site, that was on the old site, is still intended to be put onto a new site. It just isn't done yet. It's currently you could go to another web domain that By Night Studios owns, known as the oneworldofdarkness.com, and you could see a lot of that stuff that you perceive as missing from the By Night Studios store, or the ByNightStudios.com site is there right now, and we're still working on how we're going to kind of phase that back into the website and make it all look graphically presentable and nice and futuristic, as opposed to the outdated old Squarespace site that we had. So it's in the works. As for plans for a hardcover edition of Werewolf the Apocalypse, there are not currently. If there were enough demand in the community, we would certainly consider it.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. One more for you real quick. Black Ronin 47 has a question saying, seems as though Kickstarters have been done and started for Vampire. Will there be others started for Werewolf or for the rest of the properties?
So I think there are two parts to this question. So By Night Studios launched a Kickstarter for Vampire in 2013, and then another one this year in 2021. And then there are a lot of other Kickstarters that have been done by other licensors of the brand or by Paradox themselves that are out there. Whether those other partners are going to have werewolf-themed Kickstarters, I simply do not know. I hope so, because we love werewolf at By Night Studios, and we want to see it have just as much representation as vampire. From our perspective, the second part of this question is, will there be other Kickstarters? And the answer is, from our perspective, the backer program is incredibly important to support the release of these books. The community may not know this, but over the 8 years since Vampire the Masquerade was released, the original core book for By Night Studios, 95% of the sales of the books of all times were handled in that backer period program when it was launched on Kickstarter. And this is true time and time again for so many different products that get out there. And the reason for that is because there isn't a possibility of regular paid advertisement for these books. The market simply isn't large enough to sustain it. And so you need the crystallized focus of a time like this, of the backer program, and people's support and willingness to share and make others aware of the opportunity to be involved in the book, in order to finance the creation of materials of a quality that the community expects. So what I want to say to everyone listening, and to anyone who's still on the fence, we thank you for considering adding your name to the list of supporters of this book. You're making it possible. It wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you.
Yeah, trust me, I know all about the Kickstarters that have existed involving the Vampire name. So we've got, Onyx Path doing their stuff. We've got the wonderful creators of Heritage, the board game, as well as Chapters. All of them are such great creators, and it's so nice to see the family hard at work, especially through looking at their fans for support and being able to rely on their fans.
I just want to echo, what Ryan said. We really do sincerely thank all of you. We know that a lot of us in the community are just fans of World of Darkness, or fans of Vampire, or fans of the other genres, and we want to contribute. And oftentimes, we By Night Studios get these people who reach out to us who are just so excited to participate and so excited to be part of it, that they offer to do things for us for free, and we say no, because we don't want to ever not pay an artist or not pay a writer, but they're expensive, and things are expensive because we want to make sure that we can pay them what they're worth. So because of these backer programs and because of your support, we're able to highlight, the artwork of Cami. We're able to put that out there, take the great stuff that she's done and put it into our community, which we wouldn't be able to do because, while she would have probably given us, I know she's offered to give it to us for free, we can't do that. We want to make sure that she's paid and that her time is valued as an artist who contributes to our world. And we want to make sure that you have the ability to see that material. But to do that, we do need your support. And we are eternally grateful for your supporting not only this product, but our past products and hopefully our future products to come.
And let me just add a little bit to that answer as well. In the past, there was a time when some contracts by Night Studios were structured so that the compensation was tied primarily to the revenue of the product that had not yet been released. That is something I do not believe in and will never use as a main function by which we attempt to finance the release of a new book. I think people deserve to be paid, and I think they deserve to be paid as they're doing the work and when they finish it. And while I certainly agree with the idea of incentivizing a writer so that they get a little bit of a benefit if the book sells well, I don't think it's appropriate, nor do I think anyone should expect them to work completely and take all the risk upon themselves. That's the risk that we as a company are more easily able to absorb than them. So I hope that all makes sense.
I couldn't have said it better myself, you guys. You really hit the nail on the head there. I have a question here from Zig Ziglar, the best username I've read so far. This one, it says, will spirit manipulation ever make a comeback?
So spirit manipulation did not make it into this supplement, but we do have Spiritus that'll be available for the Aramans, and we are really excited with the new take on the discipline. So it plays with spirits and Umbra in a really new and exciting way. And we're all looking forward to hearing a lot of goobing about that when it comes out.
Thank you, Colleen. We got one more from Zig Ziglar, which I am sad to say because I love saying that name. There's a disconnect between players I have seen on what genre material is still valid from the old genre books and what resource material from before the printing of BNS. So the question is, if the genre from the clan books are still valid, or should we focus purely on the new printings?
So as the director of content and for Bunny Studios, and it's a long time, ST, I will say this. I'll take this question and I'll say this, that we at By Night Studios, we see ourselves as providing the tools and mechanics for storytellers to build their worlds so they and their players can tell their stories. So if an ST doesn't want to use a rule from a book because it just doesn't fit their game or their setting or the stories they're trying to tell, that's perfectly okay. Material by past licensees of Paradox or White Wolf or the World of Darkness. You use what fits your setting and your story. Our goal at By Night Studios is to make sure that storytellers and players have what they need to bring their stories to life and to do so within the sanctioned World of Darkness. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Chris. The next question is my own, again. I'm the greedy little gremlin that's going to ask, in the future, will there be considerations for narrative materials and not just mechanics? Is that something you would like to publish or produce?
So the simple answer is yes, and I think you'll find that our next products are going to go somewhat in that direction.
All right, thank you, Chris. We have one from Isinus, I believe. Isinus, probably? I apologize. Isness? I'm going to go with Isness. That sounds correct. Again, I apologize for absolutely butchering you guys' usernames. I feel absolutely horrible about it. Other genres have fetishes and treasures, while vampires have some difference in powers. Are there any intentions for BNS to produce or introduce a similar background into VTM venue?
At this time, no. They do, you've got some clans that really don't make sense to be able to use things like that, where you've got some clans that really do make sense that they'd be able to use things like that. So ultimately, right at this moment, looking at it, it kind of seems a bit more unbalanced than it is useful. And vampires have a lot of other things that they can use really, really nicely. So yeah, short answer nutshell is not at this time.
Alrighty. We have one from April Songer. I see you in the chat, April. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. This question is, how do you intend to help nonprofit organizations, NPOs, who reach a broader audience than the pay-to-play LARPs with your new materials?
So, in short, however we can, we think the NPOs that are out there, the clubs that are running our game, are wonderful. We think that anything that we can do to support them, it's always been our intention to do so, and we will continue to attempt to do so in the ways that we can. In the case of kind of specifically for V2, we have already reached out to the largest clubs and kind of recommended to them that we share our in advance versions of the materials so that they can prepare their rules teams. So it's easier for them to incorporate in their chronicles. And in fact, kind of conversations on that are always ongoing. So we have a close relationship with them already, and we want to do more to support them. But we also want to be, essentially blind to which one it is. So long as they are an NPO that's out there reaching the audience, all they have to do is reach out and let us know what we could do, and typically we find a way to do it.
All right, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, April, for the question. We have one from James Fuster. This one's a little long, and I might slip up in a few words, but I'm going to try and get it right. While I applaud innovative uses of technology like the new app, are there plans to release a PDF of V2? I know we already answered that one, but it's worth going over again. The publishing model of only a hardcover and then pay for hyperlinked materials a la D&D Beyond only encourages piracy, not discourages it. I would assume BNS would prefer to have quality control over PDFs of their books, and PDFs are often more affordable for those of us who want to play but make a lot less than affording a $65 print copy. Additionally, PDFs are important for us gamers with disabilities or the physical copy inability to read. Or the physical inability to read. Using a tablet or computer to read a PDF over a physical book might be important for someone's comfort. Also, quoting from someone with experience, unless their proprietary app includes a variety of assistive technology support for reading, including screen bars and text-to-speech, there are now 2 individuals who could access a PDF but cannot access the new format. How will you address these concerns?
Yeah, so James, I guess the easiest way to say is that I'm not really all that opposed to the idea of including a PDF. I didn't think that it merited being inclusion in the backer program because, again, traditionally, throughout the history of By Night Studios, of Mind's Eye Theater in general, folks just generally haven't purchased them. But at the same time, I'm not trying to restrict people's access to material. I don't think even if you could, you should try to force the genie back into the bottle, so to speak, and become ultra restrictive or whatever people's perception of what we're trying to do is. I was trying to offer an alternative that I thought was, and I think will be seen by the vast majority as better. We are considering whether we want to add, even in the backer program, as an add-on option, the ability to get access to a PDF or perhaps include it for one of the higher tiers that's already out there. But as you say, there is a point that there's some people who can't afford a $65 print copy that want a digital copy. I will say that without question, the MET app will be out sooner. It is easier to make. It doesn't require a full layout. Profession, it's designed to be added to and can be done on a scale of weeks, not months. However, there is a possibility that we could include a PDF at some point throughout this program, and we'll continue to think very seriously about it. So we appreciate that you reached out shared your feelings and your thoughts on this matter with us, because it can affect our decision making on matters like this.
Again, yeah, I agree with you on that one, Ryan. And thank you, James Foster, for bringing this up. We're always looking for, everyone to share how they feel with us to make sure we stay in touch with our fans, of course. This next question is from Clement. There's an accent over the E. Do you intend to translate the MET app into other languages?
Not at this time due to cost, but I'll say it again: a rising tide lifts all boats. There is the possibility of future translations being feasible. We just need to have a lot more hard data on kind of what the usage would be relative to what it has been kind of historically.
All right, thank you, Clement. The next question, this is from Mark from Southampton. I love Mark. Again, Southampton is our small collaboration we've been doing with them and their YouTube videos. Please check them out on vampirelarp.com and the wonderful work they're doing. They'll be making more episodes for us here in the future in this great collaboration. So Mark from Southampton asked, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced while making the V2 rulebook? Colleen?
So some niches within the power set are really, really focused, like necromancy. It's pretty much always just you think of necromancy, you think of death, and death, and death, and that's almost it. So we really wanted to develop themes that were, especially like for necromancy, beyond just death. So that was challenging, but it was also a fun challenge. And then same thing for the Abyss. It's hard to write a dozen shadow powers without everything saying shadow. And without like the
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but that's hilarious.
Oh no,
I just
seriously,
think of like some edgelord in the corner whispering shadow, shadow, shadow over and over again.
basically, I was like, you'd go through the sources, you're like, okay, I need to think of something that is Abyss but is not shadow. And you think like off the top of your head that would be something super, super easy. And you're like, oh yeah, I can come up with like 20 things. Then you sit down and start writing it, and everything you come out with is just shadow, shadow. And you're like, wait, stop. But yeah, we did work through a lot of those challenges. We are super excited with what ended up coming out of those brainstorming sessions and the writing sessions. And we hope that once you get your hands on it, you guys all love it too.
All right, thank you, Colleen. We have two more from Mark from Southampton. The next question, what part of the V2 rulebook are you most proud of? Chris, you want to take this one?
Sure. So my honest answer is has to be all of it. And I say that because, so much hard work has gone into this book and so much effort. This has been over a year of writing by Jimmy Rickett, Jason Herman, Colin Castor, Nikki Daniels, assist from Maple Douglas. I mean, they've worked very, very hard with writing content that then has gone to our marketing review team, gone to our developer review team, getting all those comments back, incorporating them in, going to editing, coming back to be edited again, now pending final editing. I mean, it's really been a labor of love, and they've worked so hard in addition to their day jobs. You can remember, this is not the full-time job of any of us, really. So it's 20-hour weeks on top of 40-hour weeks, and they put together some really great stuff and some really innovative stuff. I think that the customers and the players and the storytellers are really going to enjoy. So I have to say all of it because I know the effort that's put in.
Thank you.
And I want to take a moment of privilege just to say I thank them all for their work and for accepting my guidance and my feedback and the guidance and feedback of others, and for their brilliant ideas. And I think you're really all going to enjoy this book once you have it in your hands. So I have to say all of it, and thank you to the team.
Thanks, Chris. Again, I mean, we have such an amazing team. We're absolutely just, I want to say blessed here, and a little Southern coming out. Blessed to have such an amazing team. So thank you for that question, Mark. We got one last one from Mark from Southampton. What are your plans for the future regarding rules books/content? Ryan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I hate to say it again, but because I'm the kind of person who likes to talk fairly openly about my plans. I've been talking about an MVT app, to anyone who will listen since kind of even before I took over the company.
I recall.
but
Oh, I
but
recall.
we have a number of projects in the pipeline, but we can't discuss specifics at this time, especially regarding future rulebooks and content. Simply because those are things that we have to coordinate with Paradox and the World of Darkness.
All right, thank you, Ryan. I have two from Nathan Richter. According to Chapter 12, stock NPCs have specialities rather than dots and skills. Did you intend for stock NPCs to be able to gain the benefits of having dots and skills, or did you intend for them not to be able to? Colleen?
So this one's kind of a tough question as we don't really have the original staff still working here, so it's hard to know what that original intent was. When we were discussing this, though, generally when that book came out, in my opinion, stock NPCs were meant to be kind of background, unimportant characters, really just kind of filler options rather than someone who is really there moving the needle. So limiting them to not being able to cloak more than one person could definitely have been by design. But then when Werewolf came out, adapted some stock NPC rules for spirits that started going beyond the fifth dot, and basically just different uses of stock NPCs have been I don't want to say necessarily advancing, but like the use has been changing from at least what it seems like they may have been originally. So this definitely might be something that would be appropriate to revisit, but we would definitely have to discuss that internally before we could really say too much more about that.
I hear you. I hear you for sure. Thank you, Nathan, for that question. We have another one from Isness. One more for you, Colleen, right now. With the introduction of thaumaturgy paths that have changing effects, each time you use them, how will this interact with the focuses for those powers in these paths?
So the changing effects previewed in the thaumaturgy video for Neptune's Might are unique to that path. Some of the focus effects let you play with those very effects, so you could use them out of order, letting you jump ahead of usage. And the other focus effects are useful no matter what stage of the power that you're in. So sorry to be vague on that one, but it is going to be, you'll see it. We think you'll be pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Elyse, I think there was one more from Nathan.
Let me
Yes.
see. Did I skip one? Oh, I did. Oh, goodness. I apologize. One more from Nathan. This one says rules question, semicolon, so you know it's serious. When the effects of two powers contradict one another, how would a storyteller decide which power takes effect? For example, presence versus dominate.
So I can grab this one too. Unless specifically stated, Dominate doesn't really impart any special ability to complete extraordinary commands. So if a target is ordered to do something that they can't accomplish, the target would make an effort to obey the command, but they might not succeed. So an entrancement prevents you from attacking someone. So if you're dominated to attack that individual, the command or mesmerism would likely fail. So it's almost which one comes first in a lot of cases.
All right, thank you, Colleen. All right, we have three here from Hillary Jansen. First question, are you looking for more fluff writers?
I'll take this one. So the answer is we're always looking for good talent. So I would encourage you if you have a background in writing and you have a passion for the game, which I'm sure you do, then please reach out to us through our website, and we'd be happy to look at what you have to offer and see if it's something that we can incorporate in the future, or if we can come to an agreement in the future. So certainly reach out to us.
All right, second one from Hillary. Will there be necromancy and or thaumaturgy related elder powers?
We did not expand the necromancy or thaumaturgy to elder levels, mostly because those are paths rather than disciplines in some ways there. Luckily, though, for necromancy and thaumaturgy users, that really just means that you have so many you've still got a ton of options because you have your other in-clans.
All right, thank you, Colleen. Last one from Hillary Jansen. Have the clans changed sect allegiances, or will they remain as set out in the previous book?
So forgive me if you will, but we're keeping such setting updates, if you will, behind the masquerade for now.
Oh, that's a
So
horrible joke, Chris.
I tried. I know, but answering those type of questions is actually going to take a long time for a fully sufficient answer. So I'm going to do the lawyerly thing and deflect. So I apologize.
You plead the fifth. I hear you.
For now.
For now, okay. Until you can get a contact with your lawyer. I hear you.
Tune in for our next MMA, though. I may answer that question then.
Yes, which we will be talking about at the end of this MMA. These next few questions.
Did we also want to say thank you so much for supporting us, Hillary, in mid AMA. We very much thank you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, these next few questions, these were asked live during the AMA, so we haven't had a chance to really look these over yet, but hopefully we can get some answers out to you guys, all right? So, the first question is from Tony Erickson. Tony, I really appreciate the drink suggestion you gave me earlier, the creamsicle flavored drink. I'll be checking that out later. But Tony asks, has there been any look at adjusting the cost errata for old merits? Some of the older merits are overpriced for sure.
So unfortunately, I don't have the errata information in front of me right now. But what I can say is, based on this, if we haven't looked at it already, we will go back and look at it again. So all I can say is, we'll go back and take a look to see how well balanced everything is.
Alrighty. Thank you, Chris. We have another one from Aragon. Aragon, I see you in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Question. BNS introduced the new sect of the IA. Might we see rules that Kindred can take to form a new sect?
So I think we answered this a little bit earlier. There was a question about IA and IA name mechanics, and we sort of talked about the fluidity of the IA and the intent of the IA, and it's how the IA is not a centuries-old construct like the Commonwealth, the Sabbat, and the Anarch movement. So the answer to that question is no. We did not incorporate sort of new rules to make them a new sect. We're really going to leave that in the discretion of the player agency and the storytellers over those players to decide how they think that should be best achieved in their chronicle.
Thank you, Chris. We have an anonymous question for Colleen. In the current Volume 2, Part 1 release, Salubri Warriors got a 4th demon hunting themed merit. In all past iterations, they have had a merit that gave them access to a single specific elder power. Now a bunch of clans have broader but similar merits, yet the Salubri don't. Will we see the old blooded by the code merit the Salubri have had in all past versions return in some way or another? Or is that aspect of the clan being dropped?
So we are not introducing the old blooded by code merit, but we do have within their elder and luminary powers, we have a lot of treats that the Salubri can still enjoy. So again, I'm sorry to be vague as far as what specific details are. We don't have that merit specifically, but we've got a lot of fun stuff for them.
All right, thank you, Colleen. The next one is from James Laughlin. My apologies. How will the app be available to the backers? Ryan, you want to take this one?
So the plan is for a portal that is a part of the site that the app is hosted on to unlock the access to the new material if you're signed in. But all the core and V2 issue 1 material is intended, even from the start, to be freely accessible. The ideal is that it's going to be very similar to accessing an SRD, though not in wiki format.
All right, thank you, Ryan. We have one from April again, April Songer. It says, will the app be available and usable while offline?
So, April, that's actually a really tough problem. So, in a limited sense, it can be cached offline, but the issue would be the search function would definitely not work while you were offline. And the search function beyond the index trees is one of the strongest features. So, it's definitely not intended to be used primarily offline. It's intended to be used online where you can use the additional features that are available from the app's content system to find material and information on a much quicker basis than you ever could in a PDF. So, sort of would be the answer.
All right, thank you, April, again for the second question, I believe tonight. We have a really fun one from Nathan Richter. This is for everyone. If stranded in a Donner Party scenario, which member of the BNS team would you kill and eat? I know, very dark. What a great turn tonight. Woo, AMA. Goodness. If I had to kill and eat someone, let me see. I have faster answers for this. I'm probably gonna
Elyse jumps into this one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with BJ because he is the largest of all of us and would provide us a great soup. So BJ or Nathaniel, maybe Pete. Aubrey's too pretty. I would feel horrible. And out of pure like vengeance, maybe just Ryan.
I'm not gonna
and
answer
a nice
this.
Chianti.
There were a concerning amount of names listed in that.
Yours wasn't one of them yet.
I will reply to this, Nathan, just by saying that this may be an ask the same thing, but I have no answer for this. I couldn't do it. I'm a lawful good wizard. It's just not in my nature.
I'm lawful neutral. I'll try anything once.
And would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses?
Wait! I have to.
Chris has to answer.
Oh,
We'll get to the next Nathan crazy question soon.
And Colleen. I mean, what Colleen?
Colleen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to talk about how we're gonna eat each other, guys. It's essential.
Colleen, sharpen your knife and fork. Go for it.
Okay. Well, so I was going to say probably Jason because there should be a duel, and I feel like that duel would be amazing. But also probably Chris now because again, also a duel and also amazing. You can't just eat someone without having a duel first. I feel like that's a requirement.
When we eat Chris, I want his suit.
For floss?
I said when too, not if.
Okay, so my answer is all of you, and here's why. Because here's why.
Okay.
Because there's no reason why I have to just consume one of you at a time. I could take a finger from one, a toe from another, an ear from another. There's enough body parts that I can keep you alive, which will sustain me even longer. As long as I triage you accordingly in between snippets. So whatever it takes.
Did you just call us snippets?
No, snippets of you.
Oh no.
So today we learned Chris might or might not actually be a serial killer.
He did work with like murders and stuff in real life, so I'm not surprised. So
I mean, it's fine. He's still cool.
He is still cool, and don't worry, he would have to find me first. So all right, we have another very fun question from Nathan. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
I'm a big fan of hardcore history, and that reminds me of an analogy that the speaker always likes to say, which is, 100 lions led by a donkey would lose to 100 donkeys led by a lion. So that's my answer. I don't have anything more erudite than that to give you.
I have my answer. I'm gonna fight the horse-sized duck, because I feel like that would be super epic, and I would love to just go at it with a great sword, screaming like Braveheart into battle, and eventually I won't even defeat it, I'll tame it and ride it into battle. So that's my answer. I'm gonna tame my horse-sized duck and ride it.
I am super here for that.
Horse-sized duck because it only has 2 eyes and no arms.
Mm-hmm. It's got wings. What is it gonna do? Peck me?
Yep.
And 1 beak. I'm good.
Yeah. And it's got a big old neck. I mean, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Yeah, I am 100% here for the one horse-sized duck because ducks are not actually that small in terms of 100 duck-sized horses. And as soon as I'm not standing on my feet, those duck-sized horses are going to just murder me.
Yeah,
Versus a horse-sized duck,
stomp you
at
to
least
death
you are,
with their little hooves.
yeah, irritate death by irritation. Um, but also, Elyse, you had a really good point there with actually taming and riding the horse-sized duck. Like that is absolutely the best victory point ever.
I mean, what else are you gonna do with a horse-sized duck? You know? I mean, I can't think of another purpose besides circus. All right, so
Yeah.
I have let's see here. I have about I think 2 more I want to get through, and if we have some time after that, we'll get to a few more. But I do believe we want to get wrapped up right about 10 here. So if you have some burning questions, be sure to put them in the AMA questions channel under the AMA event category, and get those questions in so that way we can make sure to answer them. So besides all these crazy questions about fighting 100 duck-sized horses and whatnot, Tony Erickson is asking, the location rules talk about how to sabotage a location, but don't really clarify what happens when they are fully sabotaged. Is it possible to see a rules clarification, or even better, see more extensive rules to expand this function and make it more accessible to players and STs?
So at this time, we don't have a planned update to stock locations. We leave certain ambiguities for STs to make these kind of calls. It's much like Ryan's rising tide comments from earlier. If this is a widespread concern, then by all means, please reach out to us, and we can certainly look into the possibility of making some clarifications in errata that we're going to put out either on our website, in our app, or in a future release. But this issue is, honestly, this is the first time that I'm really hearing about it. And I appreciate that, Tony. I really do. So we can look into it and see if we need to make an errata change. But unfortunately, this will not be included in V2.
All right, thank you, Chris. We have 2 from Sundari Queen. The first one, and I'm going to say it exactly how I picture this in my head. Hi, I'm an ST, and I was wondering, for the purposes of temporis and celerity, what defines a physical power? Is it the focus? How does that work with techniques? My other question was, let's say, and this has happened, someone under Obtenebration 2, they could technically be targeted via blind fighting maneuver. Would they also be able to be perceived enough to need to use Vanish if they were blind fighting? Or would they need to have Eyes of the Beast? That's from Sundari Queen. Ryan, you want to take this one?
Yes, there's kind of like 3 parts to the question, which is why I'm having just a little bit of difficulty with how I want to phrase everything. So what defines a mental versus a physical power is what is the test pool that you use to make the test against. So a thaumaturgical power against someone will count as a physical attack on them, but it will count as the mental action that you took for that round. The restrictions on mental actions and celerity are really restrictions on attacks that you can participate in celerity in the mass combat systems. You can't affect someone with another mental power in a celerity round. And if I'm wrong on this, then I'm sure I will hear it from a dozen people in our chat who are even better at the rules than I could ever be. Now, under Shroud of Night, you can't target someone without spending fighting blind. So if someone has successfully vanished, they can't be targeted at all.
If I can help, I'm sorry, Ryan, if I can jump in.
Yes, go ahead.
So just to sort of clarify, what defines a mental versus physical power is the test pool you use to make the test. The restrictions on mental actions and celerity are really restrictions on attacks based on the mass combat system. So I think what Ryan was about to get to is under a Shroud of Night, you cannot target someone without spending blind fighting or fighting blind. If someone uses Vanish, you can. How do I say this? If someone uses Vanish, now you cannot target them at all fighting blind, because all fighting blind does is allow someone to attack a target they cannot perceive. Rather, it allows you to circumvent being blind. I don't know if that was clear.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. So when you're obfuscated, obfuscate doesn't make you invisible. It makes others ignore you, right? So you still can't target them even if they were visible, because you can't. The power that clouds your mind from obfuscate prevents it.
All right.
I hope
we guys ready?
we
for,
did okay with that.
I'm sure all the STs in the world are gonna come knocking at our doors with pitchforks. We have one more from Sundari Queen. I also had another one, which was whether there were any plans to expand more stuff that hunters and NPC factions can do. Sometimes I feel limited as an ST in what my stocks can do. For example, having Obfuscate 4 grants flat immunity to all wraiths in the Shadowlands. If I were to run an adventure there because Auspex isn't on the list of available wraith, that's a fun word. Arcanoi. I'm sure I butchered that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and answer this one. So we do have So V2, the new book, does have some upgrades to antagonists. I don't want to get into it too much, but there are some upgrades to antagonists that I think will help out the STs. In addition, while we did not do mechanical upgrades to race for storytellers, players and storytellers for their NPCs should look forward to new powers involving manipulating and controlling zombies, and manipulating and controlling ghosts, and manipulating and controlling spirits.
All right, thank you, Chris. We have another one from Tony Erickson. This one asks, are there any plans to have more add-ons? My wife and I would both like blood and willpower counters, but I don't wish to back twice.
Yeah, there's some ideas for it, and we're still considering those. And I appreciate you reaching out with the idea that'd be something that people would find valuable, the ability to get more of them, and for another person as a small addition. So I get extra $5, potentially. Yeah, it could be possible. In your specific case, until we have something like that to release, feel free to reach out to support@bynightstudios.com, and we'll see if we can find a way to accommodate.
All right. We have one from Naxinator. Speaking of Tremere, have you done anything to address the mental versus physical disparity for attack powers, i.e., the fact that dodge inevitably trumps any mental or social based attacks that targets it?
So we.
Oh, Colleen, you jumped off there. Where'd you go?
I am back. I was just putting a lot of Z's in a box, apparently. Sorry about that. So we haven't specifically changed anything to alter that base interaction or the balance between mental and physical attack powers. Because physical pools do scale way higher and a lot easier than mental or social pools. However, we have sat down and had quite a lot of discussions as far as a lot of new powers that may narrow that gap in a variety of ways. So yes, that is something that we were taking into consideration in a lot of the design aspects. Basically trying to say like, okay, well, we've got this. How do we make it even? How do we make it balanced? I think we did a pretty good job, but
I think so too. But I might be biased. I have one from Lex here.
Same.
What is your favorite vampire clan, Lingkith and Wolf Tribe or Farah breed?
I think you missed one.
Oh, did I? Let me see. Oh, yes. I did. I apologize. We'll get to Lex's question here in a minute, I promise. But there is a very important one from Yannick. This one asks, since you said earlier that the application in the backing program will be a software and not a website, does it mean we will need to buy it twice if we want to run it on a computer and then on a tablet or phone?
No, I'm sorry for that miscommunication. There's a third-party software provider that powers the web app, but that does not mean that it is not a website. So you don't need to buy it twice. In fact, as we've said before earlier in the thing, the intention is that folks will ultimately not have to buy it at all. It's just for the new content, things that, a year plus of effort went into creating can't be immediately free upon it, or we're afraid that it'll devalue the work that those writers put into it. I think that's a fairly understandable thing. This is not a cash grab. The intention is for this to be a tool that everybody can use and will make it easier and, so much smoother to play the game, to make a new character. I'm sorry for the miscommunications that have gone on, around it, and I think a little bit of it has been the community kind of bouncing things off against each other and not really kind of coming to us for what we wanted to describe to them. But ultimately, no, you will not have to buy it twice. If I have my way by the end, you won't have to buy it once. And you have it.
But I also just want to jump in there and say that again, on the backer program, for those of you who are very gracious enough to back this book, at least for the first year, that Met app, including the material contained in the V2 release, will be free for at least 1 year. Again, our hope is that before that 1 year runs, we can make this app just free in perpetuity. But for now, at least we can guarantee those of you who support us in the backer program that the V2 material will be free for that, at least that 1
year. And that's not us trying to signal anything. It's simply us trying to make a legal distinction between a promise of freedom and perpetuity if circumstances change. But at the moment, our fixed intention is for it to be available freely. And anything else than that is just a misunderstanding and a miscommunication on our part of what our intention was.
All right. I understand that there. I do want to get to Lex's question because I did promise. What is your favorite vampire clan, Linkith and Wolf Tribe or Ferret breed? This is for everyone, by the way, so have at it.
Ryan?
Everyone just Spider-Man pointed at each other like you.
Ryan, why don't you go first? You're our fearless leader.
Yes, fearless.
My favorite clans all start with a T, so Tremere, Zemisi Zamashe, and Toreador. My favorite kith is the Shi, and my favorite tribe are the Silverfangs.
All right. I'm gonna say Bali, because they're the Bali.
Man, Colleen, going to pick Bali, aren't they?
And then I would say Knockers and Silverfang.
All right, Colleen.
So I don't want to copy Chris, but also Bali, but also La Sombra. So I think my specific would be the Angelus Adder. For changelings, that one's tough. I think I actually like the Puka. I really enjoy how they just the style of Puka. They make me happy. And Werewolf Tribe is the Spiral Dancers because they have a very interesting story, and I love seeing them not mustached.
I love it.
And hopefully that actually made sense because they're fun.
I agree with you. Actually, if I'm going to jump in and answer this as well because I want to have fun too. For Vampire Clan, I may call myself a Ventru, but man, do I love watching Malks just do their thing. I love a Malkavian. I'm the only Ventru that'll actually be like, oh, a Malkavian? Let me go sit with that guy. I love Malkavians. I've always wanted to play a Puka. I really, really enjoy, the concept. I want to have, a really nice, very uptight Puka, which is opposite of what they typically are. And for a wolf tribe or Ferret breed, I don't have much experience with werewolf, I'll be honest. But if I've been told I am a Shadow Lord. Now, I don't know if that's just haters being haters, or if I am a Shadow Lord, but I suppose I'll leave it up to you guys to let me know.
Fair.
We have a few more questions, but we're getting close to our time, so I think I want to jump to one question that that was asked. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. This was asked by Solidus. With the introduction of apps and more player interaction when it comes to fluff materials and small entries in the canon of the game universe, will there be a chance for perhaps an anthology of short stories and chronicle write-ups from across the planet? I think it would be an incredible way to immerse players into a living BNS universe. Thanks, team. Love all of you guys. Reposted because I need to know, and I know you guys are busy, so it's okay. That's in all caps. And then heart, 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 heart emojis. Thank you so much, Solidus. I love all the love that is outpouring from that. So, if you guys want to go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, so Solidus, we're old friends, so you know me, and I love this idea, and I think that you hit it right on the head with the introduction of the app. Things like that are possible because there would be a place that people are going regularly where we could feature something like that in a format where it wouldn't take away from anything else. Simply be another kind of so to speak tree in the app itself. Now we haven't put more thought into it than that yet, but I do think it's a wonderful idea, and I do think it's very possible. I'm going to jump ahead as we are at the 2-hour mark, and I know that I told Chris an hour, and then I noticed that the event was for 3 hours on Facebook, and I was like, well, I'm prepared to do it as long as we need to. And I want to jump through and read the last two questions by just saying that let's talk offline and answer them in a little bit more detail there. So James asks, I'm starting to read the book and learning how to play. Do you have any suggestions or recommendations for me as a brand new LARPer? Absolutely, and I'm sure many of the people in our audience do too as well. Mm-hmm. Let's talk offline from this AMA. And then finally, we have a Sundari Queen. And once again, you have the best username on Discord since Corporal Erie of the Floof. I think I'll clarify my earlier question. Are the restrictions regarding temporis only for the purposes of attacks? For the obtenebration question, I'm more asking if someone needs to use Vanish from the Mind's Eye to go into Obfuscate, or if line of sight is blocked with obtenebration 2, thus allowing one to use Obfuscate 2, which would not require an opposed test. So, no, for example, because Majesty is being resisted by a target's social traits, Majesty is a social power. If a player cannot see you, and they don't have the ability to test against your Vanish. If they cannot see you, they don't have the ability to test against your Vanish. So, in short, if they cannot see you in any way, they can't test to determine if you need an Obfuscate 2. So, there you go. Excuse me. Awesome. If you have more questions on this, let's reply on info@bynightstudios.com. Because I think we could probably do a little bit better with a written reply to what's intended. I know what you mean, but I'm having trouble
We're having trouble getting the answer, but
yeah, because it's also you've got the powers that will actually let you see through the shroud. So if you've got appearance focus, I think it's appearance focus. I may be right. It might be manipulation. But if you've got a focused shroud, you can.
Colleen,
you disappeared.
I did.
Colleen went into the abyss, everybody.
I did. The abyss ate me because it got mad that
abyss mysticism, everybody. Abyss mysticism.
Oh yeah. The abyss does not like it if you suddenly forget the name of a power because you've just blanked. So that's it.
We will answer that question offline, and that way it's coherent. Because we apologize for our sort of rambling. All three of us try to answer, and none of us were necessarily coherent in this last question.
All right, guys. It is 10 o'clock though. I do have to call it here. Those questions we didn't get to, I apologize. We had almost 100 questions this evening, which I am so thankful for. You guys really came out in droves tonight. If you have more questions, especially about V2 or the MET app, you can see vampirelarp.com. It's all over our socials. Thank you so much again for joining us for tonight's AMA. We will have another AMA coming up very soon. Please be sure to like us on Facebook, give us a follow. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You're already here on the Discord, so I hope you know where you are. If we didn't get to your question, you can ask it next time at that AMA, and if we still didn't get to it then, of course, you can email us at info@bynightstudios.com. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, especially with V2 coming out. We really couldn't do this without all of you. This is really just a fantastic project.
And Elyse, just a reminder, audience, keep your eyes peeled for the Southampton
Yes.
videos that will drop soon.
Yes, definitely keep your eyes peeled for that new Southampton by Night video. Definitely check them out on YouTube. They also have a Twitter as well. We've retweeted some stuff from them. We also linked them on our Facebook, so if you just check out any of our socials, I'm sure you'll be able to find them. They are a fantastic group of people. And we appreciate every second of them. Again, I appreciate every second of you guys. Thank you so much for joining us for actually 2 hours now, for this event. And hopefully I can get this edited and up on YouTube within the next day or two. Likely,
Whoa.
maybe,
A few days. Thank you.
Yeah, a few days. I do need time to edit, and it's been 2 hours, so it'll be quite fun for me. But I'll try to get it up at least to Ryan as soon as possible so we can get that checked over and everything. But I do thank all of you for coming tonight, and I thank all of you for joining us for tonight's Ask Me Anything event.
And we just want to say thank you again, everyone, for participating, and for those of you who have supported the backer project so far for V2. Again, I can't stress it enough. Without your help, projects like this would be impossible. And it really means the world to us that you're supporting it and that you're a part of our community. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. All right, we're all going to sign off here. If you guys want to do afters, I suppose, you can jump into the voice hangout chat that's up in the World of Darkness general category, or just chat on the memes, not safe for work, and all of that. Ryan has already gone ahead and added himself to the voice hangout, so he clearly wants to hang out with you guys just a little bit longer. Thank you so much for joining us, and everybody, please have a wonderful night.